Here I am back yet again to talk about some Pokemon stuff, the Pokemon Direct that just happened at this point yesterday. Overall, the whole thing was a bit conflicting. I am a person who was looking forward to the Gen 4 remakes. Gen 4 is actually one of my favorite generations of Pokemon. I usually have a hard time picking between Gen 2, Gen 3, or Gen 4 being my favorites, but that's definitely one of the three. And I'm not even going to front with y'all right now. I'm not even going to lie for a second. When I saw the first snippet of this game, the remake, I was a little disappointed, not even gonna front, because obviously we all thought that this game was going to, if not look like Sword and Shield, it was going to look better than Sword and Shield and have like a graphical enhancement. And they went with the chibi style for the characters, which at first I really did not like. I'm like, why did y'all do this? Like, what is the point? But as the day went on, I started to get more attached to it because it looks exactly the same way as the 2D sprites did back in the day. It looks the exact same. If you take the sprite from back in the day, you match it up against what the chibis look like, it's literally the same. It's just very much stylized to look more like that. And hey, you know, it's an art style, it's an art choice, it's something that I personally didn't think they would do, but hey, you know, they did it. I'm not mad about it. I gotta say it was a little disappointing at first. But outside of that, I mean, everything else about the game so far just seems to be pretty run-of-the-mill, and it looks good to me. It looks very much like an updated remaster or a remake of this entire Gen 4. I'd personally say for me, the models of both the Pokemon and the trainers, they look a bit soft. Maybe it's because they don't have that harsh outline like they do in older games, but there's just something about it. The Pokemon and the characters just seem to blend into the background at times, and it doesn't really stand out. It kind of makes everything look kind of like, for lack of a better term, it looks very watercolor. I don't know, it just looks like some sort of a watercolor painting, and everything just sort of blends in a little bit. It doesn't really stand out too much. But the art style choice for this game does make me think a bit, because I've heard a lot of people say that they like the sprites in the older games. Because if I'm being honest, those sprites are very much timeless, and even to this day they use some of the smaller sprites of the Pokemon for the newer games even. Like, the entire series started off with sprites, and I have to say sprites are very much timeless, especially when you get further on into Gen 4 and even Gen 5. Like, I don't even know what to say, it just looks good. It's a very good art style. So if I'm going to take the art style of the overworld sprites and then just transfer that over to a 3D model, I mean, I get it, but I don't know. I'm not really a fan of the change. I do kind of wish they would go back to the pixel art style for these games, but I know that a lot of people would complain about that even more than they are with the chibi art style. But hey, you know what, that is what it is. I think that's one of the least interesting things in this Pokemon Direct. Of course, it's just going to be the Gen 4 remakes, the Sinnoh remakes. It is what it is. It's not anything that new or exciting. So moving on to something that actually is exciting, let's talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus. The meme of Nintendo hire this man is no longer a meme, it is now reality, because Nintendo did in fact hire this man to make this game. Our dreams of having an open world Pokemon game are now coming to fruition, and I have to say, I really don't know if this is going to come out the way that we want it to. But before I get into the doom and gloom, let me just say this looks very ambitious, and I love the way they are setting it all up. Not only are they having something that is a bit more traditional, it's something that's in a different time period, something that we haven't really seen before, but they're seemingly breaking the conventions of the games to a point where we finally have an actual open world game. From the sound of it, it sounds like we're going to be traveling the world and filling out our Pokedex with many of the wild Pokemon that have not even been discovered yet, like literally. And not only that, but they're doing something even more odd and also ambitious with these starters. We're getting 3 starters from completely different generations, and they all have the theme of being tied in with these traditional Japanese aesthetics. Like with Rowlet evolving into Decidueye, who is an archer, which, you know, a Japanese archer, Oshawott, who evolves into Samurott, who is obviously a samurai, and Cyndaquil, who evolves into Typhlosion, who is Typhlosion. I don't understand that one, but I guess they'll explain that at some point, I'm pretty sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if they added in some sort of new feature that changes the final evolution of those Pokemon. So instead of it being just a Typhlosion or a Decidueye or whatever, it could be something that's a bit different, kind of like Ash Greninja, for example. So maybe it's just like a Japanese ninja form of that Pokemon. But dude, the open world aesthetic, this game looks like Breath of the Wild. I've been saying for a while, hey, you know what, Game Freak needs to hop on with the team who developed Breath of the Wild and just get some ideas and tips from them, because that is the game everybody's been wanting for the longest time. And even if this isn't going to be the Breath of the Wild or the Breath of the Pokemon game that we always wanted, this is definitely going in a direction which I really want them to continue with. Like, I've heard some ramblings that this is going to be a single player adventure and it's not going to have a lot of online features. Of course, this is just early concepts at this point. It's not something that's going to be final, but I would love to have an open world game somewhat like what we had with the Wild area, that you can actually walk around with your friends and do like 4-player co-op, going around catching Pokemon and doing side quests, just different things that would be so cool to do. Like I said in my other videos talking about the expansion passes for Sword and Shield, those expansion passes actually added on a lot of concepts and a lot of ideas that I wanted Game Freak to expand upon in their next games. And hey, it might not be for Gen 9, but for this game, it looks like this is a great example of where they can take those ideas and really expand on it. And I know I don't want to get too ambitious because, hey, you know, this is Game Freak. You never know what you're going to get from them. They could make something that is completely mind-blowing, or they could just make, you know, the run-of-the-mill garbage that, you know, that they can make because it's going to sell anyways. But, you know, I like to have some high hopes because this is coming out next year. Could come out fall of next year, holiday next year, whatever. There's a lot of time before it actually makes its debut. And boy, I really want them to work on it because this frame rate is not looking too great. The art style does need a bit of polish. Again, you know, it's keeping the same art style as the other Diamond and Pearl remakes, you know, without having the harsh outlines on the characters. They kind of just blend into the background. But yeah, I would say for this game right here, I really want it to do well. I want them to take as much time with it as possible, even if they have to do a Metroid Prime 4 with it and just take their time and do everything they need to make this game work out absolutely perfectly. I want them to do that because this is definitely looking like a very, very good concept. And also, that reminds me, going back to the Diamond and Pearl remakes, it's very interesting because they actually added on another studio to co-develop the game. And I know that the big game that co-developing studio is known for, especially, you know, what they said in the Pokemon Direct, they're known for Pokemon Home, which isn't really much of a game, but that studio did have a hand in handling other games as well. And of course, it's not in developing them, but some games to take of note is Nier Automata and also Dragon Quest XI, which are really amazing games. So yeah, it's really nice to see that Game Freak is taking some help from other developers. Thank God for that. Even if we do have this chibi art style for those games, and even if it's not exactly what we expected it to be, I'm happy that we're going to be able to get more of these games coming out more frequently and higher quality as well, because Game Freak is actually passing up that torch a little bit. But yeah, that's basically all I had to talk about with this Pokemon Direct. I understand that Pokemon Snap was also touched on. I don't necessarily have much of an interest with that. It looks interesting, it looks nice to me, but I'm just not going to jump into that because it's not really my cup of tea. It's something I'd get on sale, but yeah, that looks pretty interesting too. So let me know what you guys think about this Pokemon Direct in the comments down below. And especially let me know what you think about Pokemon Legends Arceus, because that is definitely like the #1 game on my radar going into next year. And also don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. And that is it for now, so I'll see you guys in the next one.